Welcome back to the Sun and Moon Tarot. Today we will find what is good and what is hidden. I hope you're well and staying blessed, enjoying life wherever you are. This is a Gemini season read for my earth signs. If you have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, highly aspected, this read is likely for you. Excuse me. If it doesn't resonate, check out your other signs. If you don't already know your birth chart, please check that out on a free site. And then watch the related videos for your sun, moon, rising, and Venus signs. I did pull out the, I forgot. On all my other reads, I did kind of sponsor previous videos that I've made that are absolutely timeless. They are my pick a card reads. They start with this deck, the Crystal Stone deck. You can check those out on my channel if you want. Ultimately, you're going to meditate on the cards or before you watch the video, and then you'll pick a group or pick a card reads. So you pick whichever group you feel called to or that your guides tell you to watch, and then you watch it. And they're timeless, so you can watch them again and pick different groups if you want. That's just how that's gonna go. Anyway, if you're interested, earth signs, those are on my channel. If you would like to book with me at all, my email is listed in the description box. You could do so by emailing me there. Well, excuse me. They tried to give me 2 crystal cards, and I would really prefer 1. So we're gonna get 1 crystal card. They've been a good addition. Ooh, love citrine. Love to work with citrine. Love that you got that. Okay. This is citrine. It's a really pretty like gold yellow. Oh, maybe some people call that champagne because it's a little bit brown, almost tan, depending on what you get. But most of the time, the actual crystal is a little more of a yellow hue. It's a very beautiful crystal to work with. It's a clarifying crystal. I am going to read the card before I present it back onto the camera. Citrine, a must-have for wannabe makers of art. How noble and money. How, I don't know how to say that. I don't know what that is. Citrine is pale gold to smoky brown quartz. Yes, it's a quartz, but it's a type of quartz. It's not a clear quartz. It does have a purpose. You cannot use it for whatever you want. It does have a purpose. Okay. So, anyway, oh, it does warn you that this is true. The candy yellow, the super bright, like canary yellow ones are typically treated. They're saying it's amethyst, but it's different types of treated crystals to make it look like that, and then they call it citrine because it looks yellow. That is true, which is funny because you should be aware of that if you're not just collecting them for showing purposes. If like you're trying to work with crystals at all, if you like utilize crystals for energy work, you definitely should worry about that. Okay, earth signs, thank you for listening. I bet that matters to somebody. Anyway, so anyone with a big idea or a big dream, which is likely you, my beautiful earth signs, this crystal is for you. It says where to put it on your body to best connect with your energetic chakra system. If you want to do that, you can, and I will present the card in a minute for you to read that yourself. The when to use it is always interesting because it's time to really get your grind on when you're creating the tomorrow of your dreams today. That's when to use this. And I have to agree, as an air sign, that this crystal does help you manifest whatever you're trying to like create or whatever your masterpiece is. It helps you to clear brain fog. It helps you to be more motivated in terms of creativity and how to channel that creativity. The yellow is meant to represent like a grounding of your solar plexus. If you don't already know that, then it ultimately it is for you to have that personal power back, so your energy's not going outside of your vessel, and it's more so focused on what you're trying to create in the now. So you're going to be, it's going to make you a more present person if you're struggling with that. Citrine is an amazing, I cannot like say this enough. It is such a great crystal, and yes, it's a quartz. It's a type of quartz, but it is a great crystal to work with if you're curious about how that kind of can open up your chakra systems and therefore help you manifest. So if you're curious about that card, I'm going to leave it here. I will cut the frame, but if you have good vision, I feel like you should be able to see that. I'll try to keep it in the frame. Now, we'll be using the typical Rider-Waite deck for the rest of your read, my beautiful earth signs. I hope you enjoyed the Taurus season. I hope you're having a beautiful Gemini season. The first row will be your recent past. If this is not a timeless read and you're watching this for Gemini season 2026, the recent past, the top row, will be the end of Taurus season going into Gemini season. The middle row will be the current energy, meaning the majority of Gemini season. And the bottom row will be the future row, and it will mostly represent the end of Gemini season going into Cancerian season. We'll grab a couple clarifying cards as well. And the bottom of the deck for my reads, for my channel, they always are, it's always the theme, the overall energy for your reading is going to be present. But I do pull all the cards before, cards are kind of flying. I do pull all the cards before I determine what the overall is. So everything gets pulled, and then whatever's at the bottom of the deck is your overall energy. It's the energy you'll most likely experience the most of that season or whenever you watch it. Okay. Earth signs. I hope whatever you're trying to manifest, I hope it really works out for you. I hope you're be able to create the vision that you wish. His head cards are flying. I'm sorry you have so many reversals. We'll get into that in a minute. You have a double two appearing. What? A lot of reversals here. We'll get into that in a minute. Wow. Okay. It's a lot of reversals. Okay. We're gonna grab the clarifying cards. You got 3. Dear Lord, I love you all very much. I don't know that I want to read this. Okay. So let's start with that overall energy. This is your Gemini season read, and you did get the Lovers at the bottom of the deck. The Lovers card does represent Gemini, if you did not know. It does. I could go on a couple of spiels about this card, but I'm going to fix my layout before I start. I would like you to recognize that the Devil and the Lovers card is present. So that's always interesting to me when it is always significant in tarot when the Devil and the Lovers appear. As you can see, they're mirrored. So you do have a god of some sort with a couple that is chained, and he's watching over them in the Devil card. And then in the Lovers card, you have an angel present over, again, a couple, but they're not chained. They're just connected on the 3rd dimension. So that parallel is there, and also the parallel, of course, between, even though the Empress is in reverse and it's a clarifying card, you do have the Emperor and the Empress in your read. Both are very important. Both are, they're a couple, if you did not know that, if you're unfamiliar with that. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to, the earth signs that I think of are not old enough for this to be a romance read, so I'm going to have to readjust my thoughts on that, I suppose. Sorry. But yeah, this is very much about love. It could be for some of you. And the Lovers card, it is about Gemini, it's about the twins, but it's also about, like, in general, choices, union, like relationships, and how those kinds of things can play out based on love. So the Gemini season is a big deal. Think of it like this. The literal season, at least where I live, Gemini season represents the end of spring and the beginning of summer, when everything in the third dimension is most alive. When it's attempting to bear fruit, when it's starting to bear fruit, when seeds are being laid into the soil. This is the time that this is a very important time for like intention setting, etc. And we did already talk about that with the citrine card being a manifestor card. You are likely going to be very focused, earth signs. For my like normal viewers, like, you're going to be focused on whatever you're trying to manifest, and if that's love and relationships, then that's love and relationships, right? So in the recent past, let's talk about this. If you're, I'm gonna do a deeper dive before I tell you this is a relationship read, because it's a general read for my YouTube channel, so it's not necessarily a personal read. The Emperor is, of course, about the male brain, the action orientation, or the action order, which follows in the third dimension in terms of logic. I hope that makes sense. So that means that he represents structure, ambition, authority, and rationality. That's what I'm trying to get at. Whereas the Empress is the divine feminine rather than the divine masculine. She represents everything that is intuitive. Again, I hope that makes sense. They're, of course, partners. When they work together, they trust each other, they work well together. They create everything that should be in the third dimension in terms of a non-toxic, positive, nurturing relationship. It is when one or the other, I mean, I would never call when one or the, yeah, because one is in reverse. It's when one or the other is in reverse that it doesn't necessarily work out the way that you'd like, right? So you okay. In the recent past, especially during like Taurus season, or because the Emperor, maybe even Aries season, there was like a bit of, I'm going to have to adapt in terms of either money or like simply just balancing out decisions and what you find to be like priorities. So that means looking, excuse me, looking at your life with the Two of Pentacles. And when you're balancing decisions, priorities, and adaptations, of course, you're going to make, like, you're going to have an internal list. Everyone does. And it varies based on personality type and experience, but most people have a list in their brain of who and what is a priority and why. And in the recent past, earth signs, you might have been like shifting in terms of what is your rational, structured priority list, and you're making adaptations based on that. The Nine of Cups is in reverse. It's the final card for your recent past. It does represent lack of true joy, smugness, and dissatisfaction. So ultimately, even if this is not in a relationship for you that is romantic, although it could be, you're experiencing that. In the recent past, you're simply recognizing where it doesn't create true joy, where I don't know who this is for. Like, my daughter's a Taurus. So a lot of times when I do the earth sign reads, I'm so bubbly because I read it for my kid, but she's only 3. So this is clearly not about her. I mean, like, it is in a way, like, if I read it for her, because like, of course, she's adapting and creating new relationships in her life, and she's overcoming challenges as she grows and like overcomes milestones as a child, you know, and adapts, and she's making different priority. Oh, I guess it does play out like that. So she is, it's just not about a relationship, but she is doing that. And anything that doesn't create joy, like as her mother, I see this as she's very honest about her dissatisfaction. She's very obvious with me when she doesn't like things, when she wants things to be different, and she's very obvious about things that create true joy for her. So it's very easy for me as her mom and her caretaker to adapt and create better structure based on what she wants. And I feel like that is probably going to be applicable, excuse me, to the viewer in terms of any dimension of their life where they are making, like I already said, the priority adaptations. So what you feel is priority, what you're trying to grow in your life, because as a child you're focused on becoming the best human that you can for when you're an adult. And as an adult, you're more so focused on what I can grow now that I am responsible, and as I am personally responsible, what else can I take on? So as it depends on who you are and what you're going through, but basically it's going to follow that idea of how to create pure joy, because you as an adult viewer have already recognized what types of things are potentially taking away from your ability to create earth signs. And that's a big deal for you because you're a third dimensional worker. Like you gotta be, you like to be doing that stuff. You like your pattern, you like your creativity, you like your creature comforts. I'm well aware. You just have a way about it. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're gonna be making, if this is gonna resonate for you, you would have been making recent changes where like whatever I'm trying to create in my life, earth sign wise, whatever, for a lot of you adults is going to play out in terms of your career or whatever you are pouring into to try to create as an adult. So you're adapting priorities and even potentially like lovers and relationships based on how you're going to create a structure that allows you to create true joy, so you can therefore create and focus on your masterpiece and manifest more of that, if that makes sense. I feel like it's very direct. I feel like everything I said was very direct. I'm trying to steer away from it's a relationship thing because this is Gemini season. Like, yeah, the Lover's card is sometimes about relationships, and it could very much be that for you, earth signs. But it's also about like choices, right? And the two of the two of coin is also a big deal about making adaptations based on choices and reprioritizing certain things in your life based on choices. So I feel like that's a big thing, and the end of Taurus season going into Gemini season for whoever's this might resonate for. Now, in your current energy for Gemini season, you have the Devil in reverse. Capricorn could be of significance. I don't think I did this already. Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Capricorn, and Aquarius could be of significance to a viewer. So, back on track. The Devil in reverse. Right. Oh, this is actually a really good card. It's freedom, it's release, it's restoring control. So whatever changes you're making, earth signs, in the current energy, you're going to see where it plays out in a really positive manner. With the Knight of Cups being like, it's very much about like I like to call it the ability to romanticize your own life, as long as you're not like excessive about it. And earth signs are not typically ones to be guilty of being excessive about emotionally romanticizing their lives, depending on their like under chart. But the Knight of Cups, sorry, I'm kind of rambling. The Knight of Cups is idealistic thoughts or like beliefs or emotions, experiencing those during this season. And it's also, like I said, romantic thoughts, romanticism, and following your heart. You do have two knights. You have the Knight of Emotion and the Knight of Logic, but the Knight of Logic is in reverse. And it does represent no direction, disregard for consequence, and unpredictability. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm saying it like that. It seems like such a serious card. Anyway, uh, it seems like a very serious card. So, um, don't be like too unpredictable, of course, but also recognize that you're unpredictable. I'm so sorry. I'm quoting fucking. I think it's despicable of me. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay. Sorry. Um, so you're releasing something that oh, oh, you might have romanticized something that is not predictable, and it creates like chaos in your life, and you might have released it at the beginning of Gemini season, or you might release it during Gemini season because you view it as something that you have no control over. Not that you have control issues, but if something is unpredictable and it constantly causes chaos, how do I say that? The older I get, the more that I'll recognize that agents of chaos and agents of change are a little bit different. And they should be held accountable as such. Fair enough? I hope that makes sense. If you're the one being unpredictable, you might have to make changes because of that, because you overly romanticize your life. I just don't see that an earth sign doing that. I'm not trying to be mean. I just like earth signs tend to not do that, so you definitely could do it. Of course, the devil is in reverse. The only earth major arcana out is in reverse. Oh no, both are actually, because Taurus is also an earth sign. So I'm not trying to be preachy, but if you are the one that maybe is not predictable, which seems not like an air sign trait, or I mean an earth sign trait, but if you're dealing with someone that's not very predictable and romanticizing them, you might be exiting that situation and like creating some change because you view it as something that takes away from your ability to create true joy. And not that I'm not trying to say that you have control issues, because I don't view this as control issues. I view whatever this is as unpredictable. So it's just something that you might really care about and really, really love. But it's just something that doesn't show up in a way that it should. And even though you and maybe other people have helped you even and enabled you to romanticize this thing or person or group or whatever, you are recognizing where it doesn't like have direction and where it's unpredictable. So you might have to make like certain changes because of that, if that makes sense. It depends on what you want. You can always stay with any type of unpredictability if you want, but if it's taking away from your ability to manifest what you want, it's probably a toxic connection, if that makes more sense. So you don't want anything that takes away from your ability to create, per se. Excuse me. Not that you should fall into like victim mentality, right? Because you're the controller of your life. But like repeated offenses, of course, are always a problem. And you should hold people accountable based on that. Because at the end of the day, like you're trying to create like what your ideal life is. You're trying to make sure that your dreams are coming true, like today, not tomorrow, not in the near future, but today. And then you have every right to do that. You're trying to manifest that. So anything that creates a level of unpredictability might be viewed as unsafe in terms of what you're trying to create, and that's okay. So in the future, you do have the Two of Wands in reverse. It's all in reverse. I don't like that at all. Two of Wands in reverse, the Star in reverse, and the Three of Wands in reverse. I do not like it. I'm gonna keep saying that, I guess. Anyway. Change of fear, playing it safe, and bad planning is the Two of Wands in reverse. The Star in reverse is discouragement, faithlessness, and insecurity, dear Lord. And the Three of Wands in reverse is obstacles, delays, and frustration. In your future, there's this warning that if you do not make the changes needed, that if you know that you should have made changes in Taurus season, and you maybe didn't throughout, like Gemini season, it might bite you ultimately. Going into Cancer season is the warning, and there is a retrograde at the end of Gemini season. I haven't looked at the dates, but other like astrologers that I do actually trust have said that the retrograde starts after Gemini season. I thought all of us got a clear birthday this year, which is kind of cool. But I could be wrong, and people, we're human. We make mistakes. I trust him. I think he's correct, but if he's incorrect, it happens, and then therefore my information is incorrect because I trusted someone that didn't know what they were talking about, but they tried their best. So it is what it is. Okay, so focused. I'm so sorry. Earth signs. Yeah, like that's what I mean though. Like that example. Sometimes you can trust somebody and they can have the best of the best, but people can be wrong. People can make mistakes. It's not always that they're deceptive or liars or manipulators. And that's like the tricky thing. I think that's one of the trickiest thing about being a human sometimes and interacting with other humans is that you don't know who is trustworthy. And that might be a problem when it comes to manifesting your masterpiece, because you want to be able to trust someone in terms of any type of relationship you're trying to build. You want to be able to fall back on that and have faith on it. So if you don't have faith in it, it's going to lead to a lack of direction for you in the future. If you have not already learned that, earth signs, it might be something, unfortunately, that you learn this summer. It's up to you. You will experience obstacles, delays, and frustration if you do not make the proper changes. That's what's there in the future. You have to make the adaptations now, like right now, during the season. You have to start doing the work. You have to. Not that I'm saying that you haven't been. I just mean, sorry, I did say start doing the work. I mean, you have to continue doing the work. You have to keep pushing forward. And you have to make the steps that, you have to keep up the speed that you're at. Does that make more sense? There we go. Sorry, I don't mean to be like, you weren't doing anything. No. You've been doing great. You just have to keep pushing, if that makes sense, earth signs. You have to keep making the changes and then adaptations so that you can keep staying on that good track, on that good path, so that you don't, even if you do experience obstacles and delays, it happens and you will conquer that. It's okay. But like I said, it will be a learning moment for you if you haven't already learned the lesson. If you're not going to heed the warning, then it will be a moment where you learn something karmic, which is not a problem. It's just going to be a moment where you do learn something and you think, all of these things kind of told me, warned me about this, and I didn't understand it or I didn't listen, and that's okay. It's not better to judge yourself. As much as humans like to be super judgmental of themselves, it's really not better. When you learn is when you learn, and you can hold yourself accountable all you want, and you can crawl over spilled milk all you want, but ultimately the best thing you can do is just adapt and keep pushing so that you can keep making whatever happens today, tomorrow, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this because I'm trying to manifest my dreams, right? Always going back to that citrine card. Okay, so the Empress in reverse is the first clarifying card. It's smothering excess and selfishness. The Four of Cups is apathy, disconnection, and contemplation. The Knight of Pentacles is efficiency, hard work, and responsibility. Okay, that's fair. So, for my viewers, like adult viewers, if you any type, how do I say this? Any type of, excuse me, any type of whether you're giving or receiving like an excess of nurture, if that makes sense. It will create apathy and disconnection wherever that is directed. There's that's what that means. It will, like, regardless of how efficient you are with the like level of nurture and love, because it's excess, because it's smothering, it will, for some reason, it will transmute and it will flip into a level of, if not apathy, at the very least disconnection, which is a form of apathy in my opinion, but it does depend on who you talk to. Excuse me. Okay, we're 30 minutes in. Not bad, not bad. All right, earth signs. So basically, at the beginning we were talking about what you want to create, right? I cannot believe I'm about to say this. So I would say that a lot of earth signs are probably at a moment where they're in a test phase. And what I mean is that you might be, I'm not trying to be rude because we were talking about relationships, but you might be in a moment where, like, okay, my analogy is like, for people that are working with crystals, if they work with with a citrine stone, with a real one, and they notice how for 30 days they notice what it changes in their life and how, excuse me, and then let's say the next 30 days they put the real citrine up on the shelf, and they take out the heat treated stone that looks like citrine, and they carry that in their pocket, and they test it for 30 days, and what they find is that the real citrine is better for them, that the energy is it works in terms of allowing them to clear brain fog. It allows them to be more motivated. It allows them to clear obstacles, to clear things that would create frustration. And therefore, when they do not use it, or they use the fake citrine, they're going to experience more obstacles, more delays, more frustration, more lack of hope, more apathy, more disconnection, right? And sometimes in any type of like relationship, when that is present, sometimes it leads to the other person, like the classic, like, you hear about this in relationships, like runner chaser. So if one person gives too much, the other person runs. If one person takes too much, the other person gives too much, etc. That type of a thing. So what I mean by that is that when you have the real citrine on your team, on your crystal person, right, working through your chakras, you're going to be a little bit more grounded, and you're going to be focused on the ability to create structure in all of your relationships. You're not going to be at a place where you're like brain fogged and more likely to smother someone because you're having a hard time being clear, like with your words. So you're just like word vomiting for like who knows how long of a time period, because you can't get a clear like grasp on what you're supposed to tell them to communicate, because the brain fog's I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh, but if you worked with crystals, that would be that experience. If you swapped out those crystals, if you took a like fake and a citrine and you're using it efficiently, and then you took a fake and swapped it, you would then experience the brain fog from beforehand. And also, of course, it would depend on the type of crystal that you did like replace it with, on what would be going on. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant, but it's going to vary for everyone. Basically, if you're trying to manifest relationships, that is there. It's just that, again, don't you can't be the runner or the chaser. That creates an unhealthy cord. Like, ultimately, you do not want that. And regardless of which one you are, right? It's not healthy. So ultimately, there's that in the clarification card. It's just that understanding that if there's smothering in excess, regardless if you're receiving or giving it, like that, it will create that level of apathy and disconnection. And to some extent, I don't know why I keep going back to that citrine card and wanting to like use it as an analogy, but in the recent past, you're gonna have wanted to make changes that you already recognize are necessary in your like life, like they're big changes. And so for my viewer, there's just the warning as you make the changes, do not overly romanticize things because it will lead to I mean, like if you're too silly about it, you'll create like not just cords but also like literal third dimensional attachments that you don't have a say on, and therefore you're stuck like working with someone that you don't necessarily want to work with for a while or a long time or ever. And it will lead to inevitably this feeling of like I'm not trying to be mean, but that last row is not a good one. It doesn't it don't feel good. Like playing it safe and fear of change, bad planning with the Two of Wands. This is staying with someone because you have to. This is not because you want someone in your life. This is because you have to, because you have attachments like that you didn't think through when you made them, and you're gonna like to some extent, at the very least, experience insecurity with the star in reverse, if not also faithlessness. Like, why would God let me go like take these relationships on if it was going to be so terrible? Like, why? And but it is also a learning journey, and so you do have to be very aware when you do make attachments that there are consequences, right? That there are always consequences, and so when you make attachments with people, that's for life, that's forever. You always have to deal with them, even if they lied to you in order to make the attachment. So you just have to be very aware of that when you're doing it, when you're making attachments with people, and you'll deal with sometimes frustration, delays, and obstacles if you're not super clear. So that's it. Like you want, if you haven't already been clear on this, earth signs, you want to be very clear on this like uh the mutually beneficial give and take of every changing thing that's around you, whether it's a project, a relationship, anything you could potentially be trying to be good at or grow or create structure in your life. Because this is going to vary. If it's not a relationship, that changes the way this kind of plays out, right? Like, for example, if this is not a relationship and this is like a project of some sort, then again, this is still very important. Everything about this is still very important. If you do not plan well, it's going to lead to faithlessness in the project. It's going to lead to the project failing. If you smother any type of project, if you give anything too much attention, it will lead to that thing becoming like almost disconnected to the attention, and it will lead to a lack in the efficiency of the connection. Like, doesn't matter if it's a relationship with a plant, a home, literally anything. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It's about how the connection exchanges energy, if that makes sense. So if it's uneven, it's going to be uneven. I hope that makes sense to you, earth signs. If it's meant to be, it will work out for you. If you just kind of like throw your energy out in ways that I don't know. That last row is a bit like ominous. So I'm trying to be positive, but I'm also like, Dang, like you guys really do need to watch out because otherwise retrograde's not going to be a lot of fun. And it's in water. It's in Cancer season. So people are already working through emotion. People are already working through an energy that is also cardinal emotion. So it's that anything that they feel in their emotions seems like it has to be like universal knowledge. So like on top of the Mercury retrograde where communication and things are going to just go like fritz on and off, which will create like anger and annoyance and other emotions. It's just not going to go like retrograde is not going to go well if you're not if you're not making the steps to have like a grounded plan for how you're going to handle it. There's a warning there. I don't know. Earth signs are the only ones got the warning for retrograde that it won't be the like most fun if energy's not like already equal. Because like if you're like ignoring a problem when a retrograde happens, on top of what I just explained about the season, like whatever problem it is, it gets like louder and harder to deal with for everyone. So if you ignore a problem and you put it off long enough, um, like a retrograde, like a Mercury retrograde, because like everything around you is not working. So if you're already like used to dealing with a problem and kind of like ignoring it, but you're like your like stress level, like it puts you stressed, you know. So then everything around you stops working. That thing's gonna irritate you. You should have handled it already, you know. You know what I mean? You're gonna feel that way. Or most people will feel that way. Will feel like they should have handled whatever problem they're dealing with already during that type of a retrograde, um, because you're overstimulated by the energy. So then you'll start to feel like you should have made different choices about how you handled that. Because again, the Lover's card is throughout the entire read. It's the theme. I feel like I'm spiraling, but ultimately it's going to depend on what type of a thing you're trying to manifest. And if you this is going to sound very logical and very dry, very lack of emotion. If it's meant to be, it will survive that. Okay. If it's not meant to be, you shouldn't have to give or take in excess. So whatever it is, it will kind of like be very obvious that it's not meant to be at the end of the season. If you're working with something that you should probably let go of, if that helps, earth signs. And I'm sorry if it's something that you really wanted with this card that you like were really trying to manifest, but sometimes things are not meant to be, and sometimes it's a redirection from the universe where you're like, that was really cool and I'm really glad I learned that and I really wish it would have worked out, but on to the next thing, right? On to the next learning endeavor. You can do earth signs. I hope you enjoy the Gemini season. I hope you avoid the pitfalls, and I hope you love life. I'll see you in the next read. Enjoy the season.